Padre Pio saw something that very few are aware of. He knew that after Fatima, there exists a moment when heaven remains open for a few precious hours. A moment when everything you received on the 13th can either multiply beyond measure or be lost forever. And this moment unfolds at 3 a.m. on October 14th. In this precise instant, Padre Pio revealed that you must place 3 white roses before Our Lady. Not 2, not 4, 3. And in this video, you'll discover why these 3 roses determine whether the graces of Fatima will last for months in your life or evaporate in just a few short days. Over the next few minutes, you're going to hear the full story of how Padre Pio uncovered this secret. You'll understand the profound spiritual significance of the 3 white roses. You'll know exactly what to do at 3 a.m. on the 14th. And you'll find out why the church kept this ritual hidden for decades, fearing that people would perform it incorrectly and lose everything. Because let's be clear, many people receive the powerful graces of Fatima on October 13th. They feel the presence of Mary. They receive protection. They experience miracles. But by the 20th, by the 25th, everything seems to have vanished. The protection fades, the problems return, and the person is left wondering, were the graces temporary? Did I do something wrong? Did I lose what I received? And the answer Padre Pio gave is both simple and devastating. The graces of Fatima are not temporary. They can last for months, even years. But there's a 24-hour window after the 13th, in which you must perform a gesture of gratitude and consecration. And if you don't perform this gesture at the exact moment, it's as if you received a precious gift and then dropped it on the floor, and it shattered into pieces. What Padre Pio saw was this. When heaven opened at Fatima, when the Virgin Mary descended on that October 13th in 1917, the celestial portal didn't close after just one day. It remained open for another 24 hours, but not a giant portal, a small portal, narrow. That only opened completely at 3 a.m. the following day. At 3 a.m., the witching hour, the exact opposite of 3 p.m., when Christ died on the cross. And at that moment, Padre Pio taught that whoever placed 3 white roses at the feet of Our Lady's image, with their heart in a state of pure gratitude, would seal all the graces received, as if you were closing a jar with the blessings inside, as if you were saying to heaven, I received, I give thanks, I consecrate, and I ask that this remain. Now let me tell you how Padre Pio discovered this, because this wasn't a revelation he received in quiet prayer. It was a revelation that came through profound suffering, through a woman who lost everything, and through a miracle that happened exactly at 3 a.m. on October 14th, 1958. Her name was Emily Carter. She lived in Havenwood, near the convent where Padre Pio resided. Emily was a woman of deep faith. Every year she performed the Fatima Novena with intense devotion. And on October 13th, 1957, she had a powerful mystical experience. While praying the rosary, she smelled such a strong perfume of roses that she fell to her knees. And at that moment, she received 3 specific graces that she had requested. The first grace was the healing of her husband, who was suffering from a serious lung disease. The second was the reconciliation with her daughter, who had left home 2 years prior. And the third was financial security, because they were about to lose their home. And in the days following October 13th, all 3 miracles began to manifest. Her husband woke up on the 14th, feeling like he could breathe better for the first time in months. On the 15th, her daughter appeared at the door, crying, begging for forgiveness. And on the 16th, a former client appeared, offering a job that would resolve their entire financial situation. Emily was radiant. She thanked Our Lady all day long. She told everyone about the miracles of Fatima. She felt that her life had been transformed forever. But then, something strange began to happen. Around October 25th, her husband started coughing again, lightly at first, but the cough worsened, day after day. On November 3rd, her daughter had a violent argument with her and left home again. And on November 10th, the mysterious client disappeared without a word, and without paying for the work. In less than a month, Emily saw all three miracles unravel completely, and she fell into profound despair. She thought Our Lady had withdrawn the graces, that she had done something that offended heaven, that the miracles were just a temporary illusion, only to make the suffering even greater. It was in this state that she sought out Padre Pio. It was early December of 1957. She went to confession with him, crying so much that she could barely speak. And when she finally managed to explain what had happened, Padre Pio remained silent for a long time, a heavy silence. And then he said something that she never forgot. "Daughter, you received the graces. You truly received them. But you didn't seal them. You didn't give thanks in the way that heaven expected. You received the gift, but you didn't keep it in a sacred place." Emily didn't understand. Said she had given thanks, that she had prayed dozens of rosaries in gratitude, that she had lit candles, that she had made promises. But Padre Pio shook his head slowly. "Not about the quantity of prayers, daughter. It's about a specific gesture, at a specific moment. Our Lady expects that, after Fatima, you make a consecration of gratitude. And this consecration needs to be done at 3 a.m. on the 14th, with 3 white roses. 3 roses that represent the 3 virtues that Mary loves most: purity, humility, and gratitude." Emily was shocked. She had never heard of this. And she asked Padre Pio where this teaching came from. And that's when he told her something that few knew. He said that in 1947, 10 years earlier, he had a vision during Mass. He saw Our Lady of Fatima surrounded by light, and around her, there were hundreds of people receiving graces. But he also saw that of those hundreds of people, only a few had the graces remaining. The majority saw the graces dissipate within a few weeks. And then Our Lady explained to him that there is a secret that has been lost, a secret that the shepherds of Fatima knew. But that wasn't passed on because people weren't ready. This secret is that the graces of Fatima need to be sealed with a specific act of consecration, an act that involves 3 white roses, the number 3 because of the Holy Trinity, white because of the purity of Mary, and roses because Mary is the mystical rose. But more importantly than that, Padre Pio saw that this act needs to happen at 3 a.m. on October 14th, because 3 a.m. is the witching hour, the hour when spiritual forces are most active, and the 14th, because it's exactly 24 hours after the Fatima portal opens. It's as if it's the last chance to step through the door before it closes for an entire year. When Padre Pio finished explaining this to Emily Carter, she was trembling. She understood that she had missed the moment, that in 1957 she hadn't performed the ritual of the 3 white roses, and that's why the graces had been lost. But then Padre Pio said something that changed everything. He said, It's not too late, my child. You can still do it. Next October 13th, you will do the Fatima Novena again. You will ask for the same 3 blessings. And on the 14th, at 3 a.m., you will place the 3 white roses at the feet of Our Lady. But pay attention! Not just any roses. They need to be fresh. They need to have been picked at most 12 hours before. And you need to place them with your own hands, kneeling, making a specific prayer of consecration. Emily asked what the prayer was, and Padre Pio taught her a short but powerful prayer. A prayer that he himself had received in the vision of 1947. And he had her repeat it several times, until she memorized it. The prayer was like this: Most Holy Mother of Fatima, before you I place these 3 roses as a sign of the 3 virtues I desire to cultivate: purity of heart, humility of spirit, eternal gratitude. Seal in my heart the graces that I have received. Guard them as a sacred treasure, and make them flourish into eternal fruits. Amen. Emily left that confession with her heart full of hope. She had almost a whole year ahead of her, until the next October, and she used that time to prepare herself spiritually. She confessed every month, took communion every week, prayed the rosary every day. She was preparing for the most important moment of her life. And then came October of 1958. Emily did the Fatima Novena with an intensity she had never felt before. And on the 13th, while praying, she again had the experience of the scent of roses, only this time even stronger, so strong that other people in the church felt it too. And she knew at that moment that she had received it again, that heaven was giving her a second chance, and that now she wasn't going to waste it. On October 14th, 1958, Emily prepared everything with sacred care. She had gone to a friend's garden on the 13th in the afternoon and picked 3 perfect white roses. She placed them in holy water overnight, and at 2:30 a.m. on the 14th, she woke up, got dressed, lit a candle, and went to the small altar she had at home. At 3 a.m. sharp, she knelt down, holding the 3 roses with both hands, and with tears streaming down her face. She said the prayer that Padre Pio had taught her, and the moment she said Amen, something extraordinary happened. The entire room filled with the scent of roses. But it wasn't the scent of the 3 roses she was holding. It was a different scent, sweeter, more celestial. And Emily felt such a strong presence beside her that she was afraid to open her eyes. When she finally opened them, she didn't see anything with her physical eyes. But she knew that Our Lady had been there, that the ritual had been accepted, that the graces were sealed, and in the months that followed, the 3 miracles not only returned, they were consolidated in a definitive way. Her husband went to the doctor in November, and his lungs were completely cured. The doctor said it was inexplicable. The daughter returned in December, and this time she stayed. She asked for forgiveness for real, and they rebuilt the relationship in a profound way. And the financial situation was resolved, not with a temporary client, but with a stable job opportunity that lasted for years. Emily lived to be 89 years old. And until the end of her life, every October 14th, at 3 a.m., she placed 3 white roses before the image of Our Lady, and she taught this ritual to anyone who wanted to hear it. But here comes the part that few know, after Emily's story spread in Havenwood, other people started doing the same thing, and Padre Pio began to receive extraordinary reports. People who did the ritual of the 3 roses and saw the graces of Fatima remain active, not for weeks, but for months, years, even decades. There was a case in 1961 of a man named John, who had received the grace of healing from cancer on October 13th. He did the ritual of the 3 roses on the 14th at 3 a.m., and when he returned to the doctor in December, the cancer had disappeared completely. Even more impressive, 20 years later, in 1981, he returned for routine checkups, and the doctor said that there wasn't even a scar. It was as if the cancer had never existed. There was another case in 1964 of a woman named Lucy who had received the grace of her husband's conversion. Her husband was a militant atheist. He mocked her faith. But on October 13th, 1964, during the novena, she felt that something had changed, and when she did the ritual of the 3 roses on the 14th at 3 a.m., she prayed specifically for his conversion. On October 15th, her husband woke up different. He couldn't explain it, but something in him had changed, and in the following weeks, he started asking questions about the faith. He started going to church with her, and 6 months later, he confessed for the first time in 30 years. The conversion was so profound that he became a Eucharistic minister and served in the parish until he died at 82 years old. But perhaps the most impressive case of all was that of an entire family in 1966. The Miller family from Chicago was being destroyed by a series of tragedies. The father had lost his job. The mother was suffering from severe depression. The eldest son had become involved with drugs, and the youngest daughter had been diagnosed with a blood disease that doctors said had no cure. The grandmother of the family, Mrs. Eleanor, was a fervent devotee of Padre Pio, and in September of 1966, she traveled to Havenwood to see him. He managed to go to confession with him and told him about the entire family situation, and Padre Pio looked into her eyes and said something she never forgot. "Mrs. Eleanor, your family is being attacked spiritually, but Our Lady wants to protect you. On October 13th, you will pray the Fatima novena for your entire family, and on the 14th, at 3 a.m., you will place not 3, but 7 white roses, 1 for each member of the family. And you will consecrate each person individually." Mrs. Eleanor returned to Chicago with her heart full of faith, and she did exactly as Padre Pio had ordered. On October 13th, she gathered the entire family and prayed the novena. At first they were resistant, but she insisted, and during the prayer, they all felt something different, a peace, a presence. And on the 14th, at 2:45 a.m., Mrs. Eleanor woke everyone up. She had prepared 7 perfect white roses, and on the altar of the house, she placed each rose, one by one, speaking each person's name, consigning each life to Our Lady. And what unfolded in the following months was meticulously documented by the parish priest himself. Emily's father secured a job that was better than his previous one, in November. Her mother emerged from her depression so rapidly that her psychiatrist declared it an impossibility. Completely baffled, the son broke free from his drug addiction without ever setting foot in a clinic. He simply stopped And when the daughter visited the doctor in January, her blood disorder had completely vanished, but even more significant than all of this, the family, which was once disintegrating, united in a way they never had before. They began reciting the rosary together. Every day. They started attending Mass together. Every Sunday. And to this day, more than 50 years later, the descendants of this family continue to perform the ritual of the 3 white roses. Every October 14th at 3 a.m. Now, I need to pause here for a moment and tell you something important. If you've made it this far into the video, if you've listened to all these stories, if you've felt something stirring within your heart, then what you've just received was not by accident. Padre Pio taught that when a person seeks the truth about spiritual secrets, it's because Our Lady is already at work in that life. And I want to ask you something. If this video has touched you, if these revelations about the 3 white roses have awakened something in your faith, then the super thanks button down below isn't just a support button. It's you saying, I recognize the value of this wisdom. I want these truths to keep reaching people who are suffering. I want to be part of the mission to keep the spiritual protection of Padre Pio alive. Because, consider this. Few channels have the courage to reveal these profound teachings, these rituals that the Church has safeguarded for decades, these secrets that Padre Pio entrusted to only a select few souls. Every video like this faces resistance, faces censorship, even faces spiritual attacks. But when you click that golden heart of super thanks, you become a guardian of this truth. You become a soldier of Our Lady, and together, we're bringing light to a world that's descending into ever-deepening darkness. Now, let's get to what you really need to know: how to perform the ritual of the 3 white roses correctly. Because Padre Pio warned that doing it wrong can be worse than not doing it at all, because you'd be attempting to open a spiritual door without the proper preparation. So, pay attention to every detail I'm about to share with you. There are 7 steps, and all must be followed with precision. First step, prepare yourself spiritually during the Fatima novena. It's useless to perform the ritual of the 3 white roses if you haven't completed the 9-day novena before October 13th. The novena is what opens your heart to receive the graces. Without the novena, the roses are just flowers. With the novena, they become a sacred channel. Second step, confess your sins before the 13th. Padre Pio was inflexible on this. He said that you cannot seal graces with a dirty heart. You need to be in a state of grace. You need to have confessed all serious sins. You need to be at peace with God. If you perform the ritual in mortal sin, you don't seal the graces. You open a spiritual breach. Third step, obtain the 3 white roses on the afternoon of the 13th. They can't be just any roses. They need to be white. They need to be fresh. They need to have been picked no more than 12 hours before the ritual. And ideally, you should pick them yourself. From a garden, if you don't have a garden. Buy them from a florist. But make sure they are real roses, not artificial ones. Fourth step, place the 3 white roses in holy water during the night of the 13th leading into the 14th. This purifies the roses spiritually. Padre Pio said that the holy water prepares the roses to become a sacred instrument. If you don't have holy water, go to a church on the 13th and obtain some. All Catholic churches have holy water available. Fifth step, wake up at 2:45 a.m. on October 14th. Give yourself time to prepare calmly Dress decently. It doesn't need to be formal attire, but it needs to be respectful clothing. Light a candle on your altar, or before the image of Our Lady that you have at home. If you don't have an image, obtain one beforehand. It can be a statue. It can be a picture. It can even be a large medal. But there needs to be a representation of Our Lady. 6th step. At 3 a.m. sharp, kneel before the image. Take the 3 roses in both hands and recite the prayer of consecration that Padre Pio taught. I'm going to repeat the prayer again, so you can memorize it. Most Holy Mother of Fatima, before you, I place these 3 roses as a sign of the 3 virtues I wish to cultivate: purity of heart, humility of spirit, eternal gratitude. Seal in my heart the graces that I have received. Guard them as a sacred treasure and make them flourish into eternal fruit. Amen. 7th step. After reciting the prayer, place the 3 roses at the feet of the image of Our Lady. Leave them there for at least 3 days. Don't throw them in the trash when they wither. When you dispose of them, burn the petals or bury them in the garden. Never place them in the common garbage. They are consecrated roses. They deserve a respectful disposal. Now, there are 3 very common mistakes that people make, and Padre Pio warned about them all. Mistake number 1. Performing the ritual without having received graces on the 13th. Look, the ritual of the 3 white roses only works to seal graces that you've already received. If you didn't feel anything on the 13th, if you didn't have any experience during the novena, then wait until next year. Don't force it. Don't try to fabricate a spiritual experience. God knows the right time for each person. Mistake number 2. Performing the ritual at any other time. Some people think, oh, 3 a.m. is too early. I'll do it at 6. Or, I'll do it at midnight. Which is easier? It doesn't work that way. The time of 3 a.m. wasn't chosen by Padre Pio. It was revealed by Our Lady. It's the witching hour, the moment when the veil between heaven and earth is at its thinnest. If you do it at another time, you lose the spiritual potency of the ritual. Mistake number 3. Using roses of another color or different flowers. There have been people who used red roses because they couldn't find white ones. There have been people who used lilies because they thought they were prettier. There have been people who used artificial flowers because they last longer. None of that works. They must be natural, white roses. White symbolizes the purity of Mary. The rose symbolizes divine love. Changing the color or the flower breaks the sacred symbolism. But if you perform the ritual correctly, following all the steps, paying attention to all the details, you will receive signs of confirmation, signs that the ritual has been accepted, signs that the graces have been sealed. The first sign is the scent of roses, not the perfume of the 3 roses that you placed, but a different perfume, sweeter, more celestial. That comes from nowhere and fills the entire room. That's the unmistakable fragrance, the signature scent of Padre Pio's presence and Our Lady's. If you experience this fragrance during or shortly after the ritual, it's confirmation that heaven has accepted your consecration. The second sign is a profound peace in your heart, a peace that doesn't originate in the mind, but from the very center of your chest, a feeling that everything will be all right, that you are protected, that the blessings are safely guarded. Many people describe it as a gentle warmth in their heart, others as a feeling of lightness, but all agree it's unmistakable. The third sign unfolds in the days that follow. The graces you received on the 13th begin to manifest more strongly. If it was healing, the healing accelerates. If it was conversion, the person changes in a visible way. If it was protection, you feel the active protection in your life. It's as if the graces that were just beginning to sprout suddenly receive water and sunlight and begin to grow rapidly. There was a case in 1965 that perfectly illustrates this. A woman named Angela had received the grace of healing from severe arthritis. On October 13th, she felt the pain diminish slightly, but when she performed the 3 white roses ritual on the 14th at 3 a.m., she felt an intense heat in her joints, and on the 15th, she woke up and was able to move her fingers without pain for the first time in 10 years. By the 20th, she could open a jar. By the 25th, she could sew. And in January, she went back to her doctor, and the arthritis had completely disappeared. The doctor was so impressed that he documented the case and sent it to the Vatican. And it was one of the cases that the Church used as evidence that the Fatima graces are real and powerful when received with genuine faith. Now, I need to warn you about something serious, something that Padre Pio always emphasized. The Fatima graces are powerful, but they are also a responsibility. When you receive a grace and seal it with the 3 white roses ritual, you are making a covenant with Our Lady. You're saying, I will cultivate these 3 virtues: purity of heart, humility of spirit, eternal gratitude. And if, after sealing the graces, you return to a life of sin, if you abandon prayer, if you turn away from the sacraments, the graces won't simply disappear. They will turn against you. They will become a burden, an accusation, a constant reminder that you received a divine gift and despised it. Padre Pio told the story of a man who received the grace of healing from alcoholism in October of 1960. He performed the 3 white roses ritual, remained sober for 6 months. But then, he went back to drinking, and when he did, the drinking was worse than ever before. He died of cirrhosis 2 years later, and on his deathbed, he confessed to Padre Pio that he knew he had betrayed Our Lady, that he had squandered the grace, and that the suffering of those last 2 years had been much worse than the years of alcoholism before the miracle. Padre Pio wept for that man, and he used his story to warn others. He said, "The graces of Our Lady are freely given, but they are not cheap. They cost the blood of Christ. They cost the tears of Mary. And when you receive them, you are entering into a sacred alliance. So, if you are going to perform the 3 white roses ritual, do it with commitment. Do it knowing that you will need to change your life, that you will need to cultivate purity, humility, and gratitude, not just on the 14th, but every day after. And if you do that, if you honor the grace received, then what Padre Pio promised was extraordinary. He said that graces sealed correctly can last not just months, but years, decades, even a lifetime. He said he knew people who performed the 3 white roses ritual in 1950 and were still living under the protection of those graces in 1968. One of those people was a lady named Eleanor. She had performed the 3 white roses ritual in October of 1952, and Padre Pio accompanied her spiritually for 16 years. And he testified that in all that time, she never lost the peace she received, never lost the protection she had sealed. She lived under the shadow of Our Lady's wings, for decades. And when Padre Pio was dying, in September of 1968, Eleanor went to visit him, and he held her hand and said, "You have kept well the treasure you received, and because of that, when you depart this life, Our Lady will be waiting for you with 3 eternal roses." Eleanor passed away peacefully in 1972, and at her wake, 3 independent witnesses affirmed that they smelled the fragrance of roses near the casket, a fragrance that didn't come from physical flowers, because there were no flowers at the wake. It was the celestial fragrance, the sign that she had entered heaven, under the protection of Our Lady. So now, I'm going to ask you a direct question. Have you received graces from Fatima this year? Did you feel something during the novena? Did you experience a transformation? On October 13th? If the answer is yes, then you have a responsibility. You need to seal those graces. You need to perform the 3 white roses ritual on the 14th at 3 a.m. And if you haven't received them yet, if this year has passed, and you feel that you haven't had any special experience, then use the coming months to prepare for the next October. Go to confession regularly, receive communion frequently, pray the rosary every day, cultivate the 3 virtues: purity of heart, humility of spirit, eternal gratitude. Because Padre Pio taught that Our Lady denies graces to no one, but she expects you to be ready to receive them, and preparation is just as important as receiving. Sometimes God makes you wait a year, 2 years, 3 years, precisely so that when the grace comes, you know its value, so that when you seal it with the 3 white roses, you do it with seriousness and commitment. And there's one more thing you need to know. The 3 white roses ritual isn't just for October. Padre Pio taught that there is a spiritual cycle. Every 13th of each month, you can perform a mini novena of 3 days. And every 14th, at 3 a.m., you can renew the consecration of the 3 white roses. It doesn't have to be fresh roses every time. It can be the same prayer, the same symbolic gesture. But the act of renewing monthly keeps the graces active and protected. There was a family that did this for 20 years. Every 14th of each month, at 3 a.m., the father of the family would wake up and renew the consecration. And in those 20 years, no member of that family had a serious illness, no serious accident, no financial tragedy. They lived under such visible protection that the neighbors commented, "That family has a special blessing." And when they asked the father what the secret was, he replied, "It's no secret, it's faithfulness. Our Lady protects those who honor her every month with 3 spiritual white roses. So tell me something here in the comments, and I want you to be totally honest. Are you on the team that's waking up at 3 a.m. on the 14th to perform the 3 white roses ritual? Or are you on the team that's going to let it pass because you think it's too difficult or too early? Write awake if you're going to do it, or asleep if you're going to pass. No judgment. Just genuine curiosity to see how many of you have the courage to make the sacrifice, to wake up in the dead of night, to seal Our Lady's blessings. And if you're really courageous, also comment on the specific grace you've received, or are asking for this year. What is that miracle you need Our Lady to seal in your life? Perhaps by writing it here, by admitting it publicly, you'll break the spiritual block that's preventing the grace from fully manifesting. Maybe seeing other people sharing their stories will give you the faith you need to believe that the impossible is possible. When Our Lady is by your side, because at the end of the day, that's what Padre Pio taught throughout his entire life, that Our Lady isn't some distant saint who grants favors every now and then. She's a present mother who wants to protect, heal, and transform. But she respects free will. She expects you to do your part. To show faith through concrete actions. To honor the blessings received with genuine gratitude. And these 3 white roses are exactly that. They're a concrete action, a symbolic but powerful gesture. A way for you to say to heaven, I received, I value, I protect, and I will honor this divine gift for the rest of my life. There's one final detail that Padre Pio revealed, just days before he died, in September of 1968, when he was already very weak. A small group of devotees managed to visit him at Havenwood, and a lady asked, Padre Pio, what if someone can't wake up at 3 a.m.? What if they try, but fall asleep again? Is the grace lost? And Padre Pio smiled, a tired but understanding smile, and he said something that brought peace to everyone's heart. He said, Our Lady is not a harsh judge. She is a mother. If you tried with sincerity, but couldn't manage it, she knows your heart. What matters is not the perfection of the ritual. It's the purity of the intention. If you prepared with faith, if you acquired the roses with devotion, if you tried to wake up, but your body wouldn't obey. Do the ritual as soon as you wake up. The portal will still be open for a few hours, until noon on the 14th. Our Lady is still waiting, but he warned, this is not permission to be negligent. It's not an invitation to say, oh, then I can do it whenever I want. It's a mercy for genuine situations, for those who really tried, but failed. Our Lady knows the difference between human weakness and spiritual laziness, and she responds to each one accordingly. So if you've made it to the end of this video, if you've heard all these stories, if you've learned all these steps, then you have everything you need. The knowledge is here. The faith is in your heart. And Our Lady is waiting to seal the blessings that she wants to pour out upon you, waiting for your 3 white roses, waiting for your yes at 3 a.m. on October 14th. May you not let this sacred moment pass. May you not miss this 24-hour window. May you wake up. May you kneel. May you place the 3 white roses with pure faith, and may you live in the months and years to come, under the eternal protection of Our Lady of Fatima, sealed by the ritual that Padre Pio left us as a gift. Amen.